Let's talk about Lapis Lazuli for a minute.
I need to talk to you about Lapis Lazuli and why we need to stop buying it.
The chances are, if you have a piece of lapis that was mined any time since roughly the mid-80s, that will have funded an armed group of one kind or another.
Let's help defund the Taliban by boycotting Lapis Lazuli.
Lapis Lazuli is a semi-precious stone. It's a very beautiful and historically significant stone used famously in the mask of the Pharaoh Tutankhamun.
Seriously though, it looks like the ocean. It is so pretty and how sparkly it is.
Afghanistan is the best source of it, not quite the only source, but the best and most prolific source of lapis lazuli in the world. It is directly a source of competition between armed groups, that they fight each other for control of this resource. And that has helped to undermine both security and actually the rule of law in those areas, because the groups that are competing for control of the lapis don't want to have a strong government presence. Secondly, it helps to fund those armed groups directly. And lastly, it contributes towards the huge disillusionment of the local population. And so what should be a treasure for Afghanistan turns out to be a poison that really does more harm than good at the moment.
People are saying this many spots are looted, this many are illegal extractions. We don't know. It's all guesstimates.
The Taliban takeover of the region was to a good extent driven by the lapis lazuli. I don't think a huge amount has changed on the ground because they are still taking money from the trade. But now, of course, they're doing it as a government that, in theory, controls the whole country. Is a really huge geopolitical issue because the Taliban don't have very many other sources of funding. And indeed, this mineral gets onto the international market. It goes out through Pakistan largely, and then the bulk of it onto China, and then onto the international market. And certainly, go onto a website from the United States and buy lapis that is coming from a China-based website, but which is ultimately coming from Afghanistan.
I take great pride in making sure all of my crystals are ethically sourced, and the fact that that is happening breaks my heart.
What consequence is there for this mineral being such a driver of conflict? Well, at the moment, frankly, the answer is not a lot. The real challenge is for the international community and the Afghan government itself, especially, to come up with a better response that actually creates some incentives for legal exploitation, that creates some consequences, that helps to make it harder for armed groups to fund themselves from these minerals, and actually reflects the impacts they're having. And that applies not just to lapis lazuli, it applies across a whole range of minerals around the world. The world as a whole has to do much better in injecting an element of ethics and morality into international trade. And sadly, it's a long way from doing that at the moment.